Hey guys, it's me, Dean Miller, the dog counselor, and I am back at 8 p.m. Central Time as I am every Thursday night, and I'm also here on Sundays at 6 p.m. Central Time. Both of those are Central Time. And I encourage you guys to come and join us here every Thursday and Sunday evening because we talk a lot about dog training, we talk a lot about dog behavior, the psychology of dogs, tips. I answer your questions online because this is live streaming. So I do answer your questions, and if I can't get to them online, I will get back to you offline if you want to send me some questions. That's my dog Henry back there. Henry's getting comfortable. I did move over so he could see his handsome face, but now he's moved, so I'm going to move here so you can see his handsome face there. How about that? That's Henry. As you can see, his face is half black and half white. And as I always like to say, he's the Phantom of the Opera because he's got the mask. Boy, you're sitting handsome, Henry. You look so good. You look so handsome. I always say that's a lot of love for free. I found Henry in the street about 11 years ago, and he's been just a dream dog ever since. He's a beautiful, beautiful puppy. You can hear one of my other dogs in the background barking. That's Kirby. Every time somebody walks by, he gets all jumpy today. Kirby, it's okay. It's okay. So he's been pretty jumpy today about people walking by out front of my house. Anyway, let's get on track. Today I wanted to talk about a couple of topics. I'm certainly happy to jump around depending on your comments or your questions. I'm happy to take those and answer those today. But in the meantime, I wanted to start on the topic of adopting a dog. And I have met several people this week who just adopted puppies. And I've had some really excellent matches. I saw a lady, I met with a lady this week that I trained for, and I've actually been training for her through 2 generations of dogs. She had a dog for many years that I trained, and then that dog passed away. She now has a new puppy. I worked with her in choosing and how to pick a puppy, and then what went into the teaching and the training and the acclimation of it. And I'm telling you, I mean, I train a lot of dogs, but I met this dog, and this dog is 9 weeks old, and I have never seen a 9-week-old dog be able to focus so much, be able to learn so much, be so calm, so willing, so quick to learn. I mean, it was almost a miracle. I couldn't believe this dog was as developed as it was at 9 weeks old. I think she got the dream dog. But anyway, that often happens. You know, she took her time. She was very careful. She chose the dog based on her criteria, her lifestyle, her personality, and she'd had a lot of experience with dogs, so she made some really good choices. But at the same time, I've seen people pick some really terrible choices for their life. You know, a lot of us feel sorry for dogs. We want the dog. We want to get the dog based on feeling bad for their history, or we want to get a dog because we think they're so cute, or they're so beautiful, or whatever our criteria is. But oftentimes what we forget to think about is, how does this dog fit my life or fit my lifestyle? It's kind of like dating. It really is. I mean, you wouldn't go and marry somebody you met 15 minutes ago, but it's so strange. We walk through a shelter or breeder and whatever, we look online and we say, that's a cute puppy, and we take that puppy home. We don't know anything about that dog other than they have a cute face. Well, all dogs are wired differently than we are, and each individual dog is wired differently than each other individual dog. So again, it's kind of like marrying the first person you date. Are you going to do that? Probably not. So you should really, really take into consideration when you are choosing a dog, this is a possibly 15-year or even more commitment. And is this a commitment you can make based on what you know about the dog and what you know about your lifestyle? In the area I live, I see a lot of people running with their dogs, jogging, for example. And it takes a certain kind of dog and a certain kind of breed that's going to run with you. So if you're an active person, if you're athletic, if you want a dog that'll run with you, it's probably not a great idea to get a Basset Hound or a French Bulldog. But at the same on the flip side of the coin, if you live in a 1-bedroom apartment with no fenced yard, you probably don't want to get an Australian Shepherd or a Border Collie, which I've seen people do. I trained a couple who had an Australian Shepherd in a 1-bedroom apartment. They were gone all day at work. they would come home and have the dog out of the cage a couple of hours, few hours before they went to bed. No fenced yard, only leash walking, and then they'd go to bed and put the dog right back in the kennel at bedtime. I feel like that is actually cruel. And I told them that I felt like this is not a good choice for them. I don't, I would never make the choice for a person to say, you should get rid of your dog. I hate the phrase, get rid of your dog. People who say, I'm going to get rid of my dog. I had somebody say it to me today. I can't stand that phrase, get rid of my dog. That's like saying, I'm going to get rid of my cousin. I'm going to get rid of my daughter. It's a family member. So if it's not a good fit, then you help readopt and rehome that animal in a place that's right for the dog. But I'm getting off track here. Pete, I would never tell someone to get rid of their dog, just like I'd never tell someone to get rid of their family member. But I would say to someone, I don't think this is a good match. I don't think this dog is a good match for you, or I don't think that your lifestyle fits this dog. So back to this Australian Shepherd that lived in a one-bedroom apartment. That couple, first of all, didn't have the energy, the enthusiasm, the mental, not capacity, they didn't have the mental fortitude to want to raise an Australian Shepherd in an apartment. They had a really different lifestyle. They were upset that they would come home from work, the dog had been in the kennel all day, and they were upset that the dog was crazy and jumping all over the place, and all they wanted to do was relax and sit on the couch. And I said, well, you've picked the wrong breed for that. This is a dog that's bred to work on a ranch all day long, every day, from dawn till dusk. And a one-bedroom apartment isn't going to cut it for that animal. So on the flip side, if you're an active person and you run all the time, for example, and you get a French Bulldog or a Basset Hound, you're going to be really disappointed because those dogs conk out pretty quickly. Another dog that actually is good for a semi-sedentary lifestyle is a greyhound. Greyhounds are, people mistake because they think of them as racing dogs, that they have all this energy and they go, go, go. But once they get their initial burst of energy out, they're pretty relaxed, pretty calm, couch potato type dogs, a lot of them. But again, each dog is an individual. So I've seen, sedentary dogs that should be active by their breed, and I've seen active dogs that should be sedentary by their breed. Everybody's an individual. Just like people are individuals, dogs are individuals. So you can say, that's another reason dogs either get along or don't get along. We don't always know exactly why. They just say, well, I like that person, or I like that dog, or I don't like that dog, just like we do. Often the thing that we are not taking into consideration is, what are the dog's needs? A dog has needs just like we do. And we often adopt a dog to fulfill our needs. Oh, I'm lonely. Oh, I want someone to cuddle with. Oh, I want someone to do things with. I want someone to be with. Well, what about what the dog wants and needs? People really need to take that into consideration. When you're thinking of adopting a dog, it is a very good idea to spend a lot of time with that dog, sit with that dog, envision yourself with the dog. Is the dog connecting to me? Am I connecting to the dog? Just like that special chemistry we get, when we meet the right person or something, or a friend or a romantic partner, there's an intangible kind of chemistry. And there's a similar thing between people and dogs. And I think you really need to take that into consideration when you're adopting. You can't just grab a dog because they have a cute face. I think it can lead to some serious problems. You adopt a dog that's wrong for you. You go through months with the dog where the dog learns to love you and trust you, but it's not working out, and then you take the dog somewhere else and uproot that dog. It changes that dog, and it changes, the chain of people down the line who deal with that dog. So I would really, really take into consideration spending a lot of time with the dog. If you can bring the dog home overnight for a special overnight visit just to see if it's right for your life, that's a good idea too. There are many, many considerations. So think of it like dating. Think of it like a 15-year marriage. Are you ready for that? And are you ready for all that it takes to be a good parent? Again, we're going to take training questions about adoption, anything you want to ask me about dogs. If I can't answer it, I'll just tell you I can't answer it. But I have a pretty good storehouse of years of training in here. So if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Obviously, if it's broad question like, my dog's aggressive, how do I fix it? Well, I can't tell you that in a quick text or online, but I can give you some tips. So whatever your questions are, I'm open to anything. You can ask me anything. You can ask me what kind of underwear I wear. I don't care. I'm open to anything. So on to the next topic. Let me just remind you while I have it here. This is a book I wrote called A Dog's Way. And it has a real huge amount of great information about dogs. It really follows my philosophy and helps to share how dogs change us. The subtitle of the book is How Dogs Make Us Better People. And I really believe it's better people. There's an old... Oh, did we reconnect there? It said we went off for a minute and that we reconnected. Oh man, we reconnected, so maybe I might have missed some of these comments. Oh my gosh, comments are popping up like crazy because I think I was disconnected and talking to the thin air. I didn't know I was off the air. Okay, in case you missed it, I was talking about my book, A Dog's Way. It's subtitled How Dogs Make Us Better People. Because I believe dogs do make us better people. They, Henry's made me a better person for sure. He is the most calm, relaxed, decent, good, well-behaved dog, and he's taught me a lot about life. In fact, that's Henry on the back cover of my book, on my shoulders. That's Henry maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but he is just a very, very special boy. I love him very much, and I found him in the street. So let me kind of talk to you a little bit about that, like, for example, finding Henry in the street. I think I said this a minute ago. I don't know if I was cut off during that time or not, but a few minutes ago I said God doesn't give us the dog we want. He gives us the dog we need. And I take that to mean that we are often given a dog that we don't think fits us, or we don't like something about it or whatever, but the dog is our teacher. The dog teaches us things like patience, or how to be kind, or how to get out of ourselves and care for something else, or how to handle, situations, or, dogs are very responsive to our voices and our body language. I can tell you that in my lifetime, dogs have changed my my body language and the way I use my voice. My dogs have changed that about me. So they do change us, and I think we need to just be open to them. That's my philosophy of training too. Training is not about how do I get my dog to do what I tell them to do. That's really not what training is about to me. Training is about building a relationship with your dog so that your dog respects you, bonds to you, and loves you, so that your dog wants to do everything you tell him to do because he loves you so much. It's kind of like if you have a child, if you have a family member, whatever, if you respect that family member, if you respect your mother, your father, you're going to do what they ask or tell you to do because you respect them and you love them, not because they're wielding a baseball bat over your head or something. I think that a relationship with a dog is the same way. They should be listening to you because they look at you as someone to respect and bond to. So that's my philosophy of training, and then the tools you use are secondary. Really, it's really about do they respect you and listen to you and love you. So again, I bounce around like a lot of folks. I bounce around here. Excuse me. I kind of have ADD, attention dog disorder, but I wanted to talk to you about. Oh yeah, okay. I'm blanking. I blanked out. What were we talking about? I know, adoption. Okay. So there are many, many, many sources of dogs, okay? You may or may not know this, but there are millions and millions of unwanted dogs and cats in this world. They breed like crazy. And irresponsible breeders and people who don't spay and neuter their dogs, they have tons and tons of litters. One dog with one litter can start a brush fire of terrible, terrible, dog overbreeding. So there is never a shortage of dogs that need homes. Now, this is quite controversial. I am not a huge fan of breeding. I'm not a huge fan of going out there and breeding for the sake of breeding, because I feel like if it's just a money-making enterprise and you're breeding tons of dogs, each one of those dogs that is bought and sold is taking away the home of a dog that has been unwanted and sitting in a shelter needing a home. And when you go to adopt, many people don't realize this, that let's say you're looking for a golden retriever, or you're looking for a basset hound, or you're looking for a French bulldog. You can go online and you can search any breed you can think of. And not only is it going to come up with dogs that didn't do well in homes or were given up for whatever reason, up come hundreds and hundreds of puppies, babies, that were bred accidentally, born accidentally, people don't want. You know, if I'm dead set on getting a young puppy, there's every kind of unwanted breed of puppy out there that I can get. And I can get a purebred AKC puppy that has been unwanted or, you know, thrown out or given up on. And there's everything from young puppies to adolescents to old dogs to mixed breeds to pure breeds. There's everything out there. You don't have to confine yourself to your geographical area either. There are dogs all over this country, all over this world, desperate for love and homes. So broaden your mind, broaden your search. Don't just think, I want a German Shepherd, so I'm going to go to a German Shepherd breeder. I'm going to search breeders. Really, you know, like I said, Henry was an accidental find in the middle of the street 11 years ago, and he's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love him so much, and he's been a great gift to my life, and I wouldn't trade him for anything in this world, and he was free in the street. So that's what I kind of take into account with adopting dogs. I don't like to go to breeders, you know, spend thousands of dollars on some specialty breed that someone's breeding for the look or something like that. There are a lot of unwanted doggies out there, and cats too. Cats, dogs, everything. There's every kind of unwanted pet. I think a lot of people impulse buy, and they get an animal, and then they bring that animal home, and they want that animal, that dog, to be pre-packaged. They want the dog to come in being like some dog on television. Well, it's like raising a child. How should a dog know how to use a leash if you don't teach him? How should a dog know how to sit, stay, lie down, come to you? How should a dog know not to go to the bathroom in the house? How should a dog know not to jump on your guests? Because they are babies. They're children that need guidance and structure and leadership. They need parenting. So, you know, people get a dog, the dog messes up the first 2 days, they give up on the dog. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's terrible. It's about as useful as screaming at an infant for wearing a diaper. I mean, the kid can't help it, the dog can't help it. Dogs will teach us patience, ways of communicating that we don't even realize we're communicating. You know, they're not verbal creatures. They look at our physicality, what we're presenting. Are we strong? Are we weak? Do we mean what we're saying? Our tone of voice, everything but words. Words are way down the list of things they respond to. So anyway, I'm digressing here a little bit. Let me take a minute to lean into the camera and take my glasses off because I cannot read this stuff with my glasses on. So I'm going to look at some of your, oh my gosh, I've gotten way behind on the comments and stuff. How old is Henry, Carly Glass asks. Well, Henry is approximately 12 years old. He was approximately a year old when I found him in the street 11 years ago. So he's just about 12 years old. He's going to be a teenager before you know it, and then, you know, then he's going to want to drive, and then it's going to be all over. So let's see here. Yes, Sandra Murillo says, you have an awesome job. I have the most awesome job in the world. Every day is an adventure. I meet so many people. I get to watch little doggies that are, you know, pent up inside themselves, or neurotic, or sad, or aggressive, and I get to turn them around and flip a switch inside them that changes them for their whole life. But as important as that, I get to change people's lives because they open their hearts to what's happening with their dogs. They open their minds to the idea of communicating with their dog and loving their dog. And I just have the most beautiful, amazing job in the world. I go to people's homes. I train in their house. I don't train in a class because I feel like the most beneficial place a dog can begin to learn is at home in their own territory. So that's where I teach. I do home sessions. I do travel all over the country. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee, but I'm happy to fly and go anywhere you want me to go to train. I've done it before. I've trained all over the world, all over the country, and I'm happy to go all kinds of places. So just let me know what you need, and I can work it out. Let me see here. I also do Skype training. I do Skype training or on the phone training. So anytime you want to, you know, talk about that, I'm happy to talk about it. You can contact me through my website, thedogcounselor.com, or my email, dean@thedogcounselor.com. So let me look at some more comments here. And Passion, I hope I'm saying that right, Passion. Great tips you have. Thank you very much. Are you talking about the tips in my hair, like the dye job? No, I'm kidding. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, Diane Sears says, I just want to love that dog. I just want to love him too. I may rent him to you, though, if you want to rent him. My dog loves to cuddle. Yes, yes, yes. My dog is aggressive on the leash toward other dogs. I can definitely help you with that. I've helped not millions. I've helped hundreds of dogs that are aggressive on the leash, and it's often, not always, but it's often the case of frustration, leash frustration, being restrained, and they can't get to that other dog, and being held by something they perceive as holding them back and not as strong as they are. So I can definitely help you with that. If you want to do a Skype session or a phone session or an in-home training, I'm happy to help with that. I love, not love, but I could definitely help with an aggressive dog. Patricia Post, can I have your dog? No, you may not have my dog. I love my dog too much. And I have 3 others you can't have either. I love them way too much. I'm addicted to my dogs. Jenny Makehouse is watching from Ohio. Hi, Ohio. You know, I really want to go to Cleveland and see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Have you been there? Are you near there? I really want to go to that. Really want to see it. I'm digressing, though. Okay, let's see here. I cannot pronounce your name. I apologize. Cassinus, Constance. Separation anxiety. I don't think my girl will ever be cured. It's been 4 years since I brought her home from the shelter. She was 4, and I was her 3rd home. Fortunately, my husband is retired. I can help you with this. Let me tell you something about separation anxiety. Often, a dog gets in this state of mind where they're locked, where they're frozen in this state of separation anxiety. And we do one of the biggest mistakes we make is that while the dog is crying or upset or in a state of separation anxiety, we tell them, it's okay, everything's okay, we're going to be fine. And that tone of voice sounds to the dog exactly like the tone of voice that says, good boy, good girl, you're a good girl, it's okay, it's okay. So the dog gets this confused message of nurturing, of, you know, I love this behavior. It's almost like praising and saying, I love it when you're upset. I love it when you have separation anxiety. And I have to show you a way to, first of all, correct the separation anxiety, praise the relaxation and the reconditioning of the mind, and then rehabilitate all of that into a dog that can relax when you're gone. And I can do it. I've done it a bunch of times. I've had some really, really challenging cases, and I have several different ideas and tools for you to try. So if you'd like to set up a Skype meeting or a phone call or an in-home visit, I can be reached at thedogcounselor.com. So let me look at some more comments here. My audience is growing, it says, from Facebook. Good. That's pretty cool. My dog is demanding. He will go into bed and cry until someone goes and lays down with him. Okay, you're saying something very revealing in your phrase that people say to me all the time. They say, the dog does this until I do this. So basically what you're saying is the dog cries until I go in and lay down with him. Well, that implies to me that you eventually go in and lay down with him. That is the dog training you. And the dog has trained you to do what the dog wants you to do. And, you know, our dogs don't have jobs to get up for. They don't have meetings and dinners that they have to go to or go see a movie. They have nothing better to do than to live in your house, watch you, size you up, and get what they want out of you. So, if they only have to cry for 30 minutes or 45 minutes to get you to come do what they want, fine, so be it. I don't have to be anywhere. I can sit here for 45 minutes and whine and cry. If you eventually do the thing they want you to do, you are reinforcing the behavior. We need to disagree with the behavior, say no to the behavior, and then when they're quiet and submissive, that's when we go give them what they want. So they learn that they get what they want from being quiet and docile, not from being demanding. That's kind of in a nutshell, but I could be more specific and show you some things about fixing that for sure. My dogs train me well, Patsy Hugler said. That's great. Mine too. Mine train me. I'm a great talker. Not always a great doer. I don't tell anybody, but my greatest fear is that people will hear the way I talk to my animals when no one's around. It's a lot of baby talk, it's a lot of songs. I'm not going to go into detail, and I'm certainly not going to do it for you here. But I love my dogs more than anything in this world, and you can hear it when nobody's around. And I think that's part of the joy of having a dog. But they also have to know that there's a disciplinarian inside you, and that you're the mom or dad that makes the rules. So they need to know that you're both. So by all means, love your dog, but also have some discipline and structure. Let's see what else we got here. Scratch Henry's nose, it itches. Well, that was probably a few minutes ago, but he loves to have his nose scratched. Sorry, buddy, were you napping? Okay, let's see here. Conversation's growing, keeps telling me. Diane Sears says the Amish don't believe dogs have souls. That's why they breed them like crazy. I did not know this. I don't know anything about this, but I can assure you, whatever your definition of a soul is, if you think a dog doesn't have it, I would highly disagree with you. I have had relationships with dogs that are deep and spiritual, and I would beg to differ with you on that. So, let's see here. People talking about their particular dogs. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff you're saying about your dogs. I like every dog. I agree with you. Christiana Munoz, I agree with you. I love all dogs. I got my second Chinese crested mix by adoption recently. Yep, had to drive an hour and a half. I found a hairless mix, well worth it. Well, there's a good example of somebody who went online and searched for a dog that didn't have a home and needed a home, and went and got that dog. And it's a Chinese crested or Chinese crested mix. They're all out there, folks. And dogs that don't have homes. You don't have to go to a breeder. You don't have to go spend a lot of money, and you don't want to support puppy mills and terrible breeding practices. So anyway, and I forgot to mention, I am on the Wolf Driver channel. The Wolf Driver channel has given me a great opportunity for this show. I'm on Thursday nights at 8 Central Time and Sunday nights at 6 Central Time doing this stuff, giving tips, and I really hope you'll join me. I love doing it. The time just flies by. We're almost out of time, and it just flies by. I love doing this. You can probably tell I love training dogs. So let me just try to get to some of these things here. I have a precious puppy that walks sideways and also runs sideways. I don't know. I haven't met the dog, why that is. But it could actually be maybe one of the most beautiful things ever, because that makes your dog an individual. That makes your dog who he or she is, I have some features I don't like about myself. I'm not a great athlete. I have a lot of weirdo qualities, but I love my quirkiness, and I hope other people do too. And that's why my dogs, I always say sometimes that my house is the island of misfit toys, because every one of my dogs is a misfit and maybe would have been overlooked somewhere else. With all my dogs, I'm not their first home. My dogs are all the product of either running away, being unwanted, living on the streets, some terrible, terrible backgrounds and situations. But I love them. I just love them so much. These broken little spirits out there, they're by the millions. They're available and looking for love. And I really hope you'll seek out that dog that needs you. I'm going to end with this story. It's one of the most beautiful stories I ever had in training. It's one of the most beautiful experiences ever. I trained a family, and they had 2 little daughters. The daughters were probably about between 6 and 8, and they had a new puppy that they had adopted from the shelter. And we trained for about an hour and a half, and we learned a whole bunch of stuff, and the dog was just beautiful. And at the end of the session, these 2 little girls were lying on the floor of the kitchen with the dog. And they were sprawled out all over the dog. They had their heads laying on the dog, and the dog was laying on them. And you know how kids will just lie around with the dog, and the dog's all over them, and they're just exhausted, right? And it was just the most beautiful picture. I wrote about it in my book, and I said to these kids, and their parents were there too, I said, how did you come to pick your dog? And they said, well, our daddy helped us. And I said, oh, that's really nice. And did you help? And they said, yes. They said every night, before bedtime, we would say our prayers, and we would pray to God. We would say, God, please give us the dog that needs us the most. And I think that is the most beautiful lesson to learn in adopting a dog. think about what dog needs you the most. And that's probably the dog you need the most as well. So it's a beautiful attitude to bring to adopting a dog. Nobody loves dogs more than me, but they do need training, they do need structure, they do need discipline. And if you need help with that, I am the dog counselor, Dean Miller. You can ask me anything you want. Even after this program's over, you can email me, write to me at thedogcounselor.com or with my email, dean@thedogcounselor.com. I'm happy to help you out with anything. I'm real adaptable. I just want to help the doggies. So I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you, Wolf Driver, again for this opportunity. I really enjoy doing it. Please tune in Sunday, 6 o'clock, and I will be back with more stuff. And if you have some questions, email them to me. I'll be glad to get to them next week on the show. Thank you for joining us. Henry says bye, I say bye, and, have a good time with your dogs. We'll see you soon.